Multifunctional landscapes in agricultural crops. The preservation of pollinating insects, whether honeybees or others, can significantly benefit the agricultural system in many aspects, including its yields. Rodrigo Gonzalez, director of Apiculture Without Borders, requests the installation of trails or strips of weeds to preserve the habitat of pollinators and bees and measure their impact on agricultural production, and also help beekeepers have more places where bees can produce honey. Agricultural landscapes often lack the diversity and abundance of flowers that bees need to survive and act on crops. For some time now, our magazine has been asking different governments and officials about whether the form of agriculture that has been imposed in several countries in recent years was sustainable in the short and medium term, and if strips of nectar-generating vegetation could be incorporated. That is not invasive and helps beekeepers in the regions. Rodrigo Gonzalez, together with two technicians from the magazine, presented a report recommending creating multifunction trails or strips, with the aim of increasing the number of pollinators in agricultural landscapes, evaluating different combinations of native vegetation with production crops. More than 90% of plants depend to a greater or lesser extent on pollinators, including the main crops worldwide. Indirectly, pollinators are responsible for seeds, vitamins and nutrients, pastures, production of non-timber products, and medicinal plants. From a productive point of view, it improves crop yield and quality, reduces costs associated with pollination services, increases biodiversity in the fields, and the sustainability of crops. The preservation of bees can significantly benefit the agricultural system in many aspects and even in yields. Having hives near crops increases yields of more than 20% in crops such as sunflower, alfalfa, and rapeseed, the three preferred by pollinators, and somewhat less in other crops. With the purpose of transmitting this idea to producers and ensuring that they incorporate it, Apiculture Without Borders recommends having and promoting the creation of multifunctional landscapes with the help of agronomy students, environmental science students, and landowners. Today we do not see a real national and international agrarian policy that includes conservation objectives. Until the massive planting of monofloral crops and high demand such as soybeans, Rodrigo Gonzalez comments that simply by leaving wild weeds near the crops, at a distance of 6 to 10 meters from the fences, where Aleppo sorghum coexists, viola, reggio, thistles, clovers, black branch, and many other species. Pollinators stay alive and active with weed flowers, even during fallow seasons. Bees and other pollinators need resources to feed and reproduce. If such resources come from greater biodiversity, it is substantially better for them and for everyone. We are not advising using a weeder or applying herbicides on the fences for fear that the species will invade the crop. You have to see what is in the weed seed bank that finds refuge in fences or roadsides. We must stop doing what we have been doing. The contribution to production that this weed refuge can offer is greater than what can be obtained by sowing up to the last meter or by demolishing the native flora and, therefore, the food for the bees. There are already areas where corn and soybean plantations have been carried out. 6 closure plots, weed shelters, have been installed that coexist with the applications of herbicides in the crop without affecting the installed hives. For those owners of fields or crops who have doubts or fears about how to keep weeds out of the crop, Rodrigo Gonzalez in his conferences and meetings comments that the biodiversity of these multifunctional landscapes has to be achieved with weeds or native flowering. That is not competitive or dominant.